When using a betting exchange, sooner or later you might find you've tried to place a bet, but it's shown as unmatched, as you can see here. Or you may even find part of your bet has been matched and part of your bet has been unmatched. For example, as you can see here, £25.31p has been matched and are still left with £24.69 unmatched. This happens when there's not enough money available at the price that you wanted. The odds have basically shifted away from you. So to avoid this, you need to always make sure there's enough money here before you start placing your bets. You can find this on the Odds Matcher 2 on the right hand side here. If this does happen to you, you have two options, and which one we advise you to use comes down to whether your bet is completely unmatched or if it's partially been matched. If your bet has partially been matched, then use option 1, which is to take the worse odds. This means that you just keep the stake the same, adjust the odds, so we can see here the odds are 6.2 and I'm trying to get it at 6, so let's just adjust it to 6.2 and click update. Now you can see my whole £50 stake has been matched and the average odds here is 6.09. This means that you're getting your bet matched instantly. It's the safest and quickest thing to do so long as the price difference is under 5%, which it usually always will be. If the change in odds is more than 5%, or if your bet is completely unmatched, then you'd be better off with option 2. Option 2 is to recalculate your position and replace the bet. If your bet is unmatched, or the unmatched part of your partially matched bet is a large amount, then by returning to the calculator and updating the odds, we can update our bet to ensure any risk is minimised. But first of all, for the purpose of this video, let's cancel the unmatched bet so it doesn't interfere with what we want to do next. Obviously, you would leave this bet here until you place your new lay bet, because in the meantime, it could actually get matched whilst you're working out your new stake, in which case you do not need to do anything. Everything will be back to the original calculations you originally made. So let's go to the calculator now to show you a quick example. Let's say we were trying to lay off a £10 back bet at 2.5 and the lay odds were 2.5 as well. You can see here it's telling us to lay £10.20 when the lay odds are 2.5. But let's say now the lay odds are now 2.75. It's now telling us to lay £9.26. You can see that both the stake and the liability has changed as well. The amount it changes will depend on how much the odds have moved. But now all we have to do is go and place this new bet. All it effectively means is that instead of losing only 31p on this qualifying bet, we're now going to lose £1.20. But it's much better to accept that larger loss than run the risk of not getting matched at all and ending up in a bigger loss. However, if you already have a partially matched bet, then it's a little bit more complicated. Let's consider a slightly different scenario. Let's say that we're using a £10 free bet, so we use the stake not returned, and we found the match at 6, and the lay odds were 6 as well. We can see here it's telling us to lay £8.40, and we'll make a profit of £7.98. Let's say I went over to Betfair and I went to place this lay bet. Now I only got £2 matched because the odds have now shifted all the way to 6.6, so I'm left with £6.40 unmatched. This will hardly ever happen, but I want to explain to you the worst case scenario, then you should be able to apply this to anything. If this does happen, then you've got a partially matched bet. So as the odds are more than 5% different, we don't want to take the new odds as it will leave us exposed if the bet wins with a bookie, because the liability will be far too high on Betfair. So what we do is we head back to the calculator and we enter the new odds. So we say 6.6 and we can see here that it's now telling us to lay £7.63, which is nearly 80p less. So we've already got £2 matched, so that means we now place the new lay bet, which is the £7.63 it's telling us on the calculator, minus the £2 that we already have matched. So we need to lay £5.63 at odds of 6.6. This will then show on Betfair as separate bets. For example, let's look at the bet I made earlier. We can see here it got matched at 3 different prices. All you need to do is click average odds, then it will tell you the total stake you made on that selection, and then it will give you your average odds. You can see here your total liability as well. So you can check this against the calculator. It should be less. So in theory, if you wanted to even out all of the outcomes, you could place a few more pence until your liability goes up to the amount that it says on the calculator. But really just keep it simple to begin with. So to summarise, try to avoid unmatched and partially matched bets by checking the money available under the odds before you place the bet at the bookie. If there's not enough, consider a different bet. If your bet is partially matched and the change in odds is very small, then you're better off taking option 1, which is to update the odds on your bet slip and take the new odds. If your bet is completely unmatched or the change in odds is more than 5%, then use option 2, which is to recalculate your position and place a new lay bet. Recalculating your position may take a little longer, but it's the best method for those people who do not like risk. Option 1 is much easier and faster, and in some ways safer too, so long as the odds change is very small. It just means that if the bet does win at the bookie, then you might be a few extra pence worse off. While if it does win at the exchange, then there's going to be no difference to what it was before the odds moved. All option 2 does is basically spread the risk more evenly, so then it doesn't matter whether it wins at the bookie or exchange, and you'll know your outcome no matter what. But most of the time it will only be a few pence either way, so the quickest solution is usually the best here.